female board directors today, and I look at it as a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous opportunity. I mean, they are in the seats right now where they can make it a little bit better for the next generation, and they can also be the voice on their boards to promote diversity.
Thank you. You've seen many female leaders doing great in the Japanese boardroom, and I'm wondering if could you share your maybe hints, some of hints for female leaders to make positive changes, as you know it's regarded quite a hard things to do.
Right. No, and actually most of the women that are part of my network are those strong, high profile networking women. I think there's still many more women on boards that can still play a significant role. And I will say that the first way these women make positive change is by being a great board director. And while unfortunately, sometimes being a great board director, you kind of got to read the room, or am I supposed to speak up or not speak up? In a way, I think I've heard them referred to as KY women, like Kuki Yomanai. Like we don't read the room or read the air, as you say in Japanese. We just say what we think. And there's actually quite many of those, and that's probably one of the reasons they were quite successful. So I think though they have to be excellent, which means they have to train and study and learn. And while it is, I don't want to say it's unfair, but it's just kind of the way of the world. I think that when you're a minority and you have to prove yourself, you do have to take additional effort. I felt the same way when I went to Japan 20 years ago. I was a woman, and I had to prove myself to all the men I was working for. And there's just kind of that extra study and that extra stuff you have to do, but be excellent and just be a great board director, because once you can kind of change the mindset of the men around you, and they can be like, oh yeah, that person, Nohara-san, or, Noguchi-san, or she had a really good idea. Then you can maybe start to think that, okay, women do add value, which is a strange thing to need to prove, but you still have to prove that. Then I think that women can make positive change by being the voice of diversity on the board. And sometimes I'm told that this is something I maybe other people feel differently, that I shouldn't feel so strongly about this point, because it's every director's responsibility about diversity. And I understand that it's every director's, but I live in the real world and I only know what I can control, and they can only control what they can control. So one of the reasons from our organization is to mobilize these women and have them promote diversity, because they're probably a more likely spokesperson for diversity to begin with. And you would be so surprised that most of the women I talk to at some point have been in charge of diversity, or have had thoughts or led women's group or been a mentor on that topic. So I think that they do need to be the voice of board diversity. And they do that, though, not by themselves, but by gathering allies. I've heard that this is for any board issue, right? To be a board director, right? You don't wait until you get into the boardroom to discuss an issue. You have your side discussions, build your allies, and they need to work in that way. But if they have the tools to do that, I found that most of the women actually that I've spoken with have done that. So I look at the female board directors today, and I look at it as a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous opportunity. I mean, they are in the seats right now where they can make it a little bit better for the next generation, and they can also be the voice on their boards to promote diversity.
Thank you. Lastly, our Twitter followers or YouTube channel subscribers are composed of mainly investors or professionals, corporate leaders on the financial world, or maybe we expect female leaders to follow us. Could you share your messages to them to wrap up this session?
So I'll have different messages, but for the investors, you are the sole source of change. and Japan is listening to you. And I also believe that by partnering with investors, that companies can actually do better. You know, engagement is win-win, not a bad situation. So I am so supportive of investor engagement in Japan, and I just want to encourage it not only on diversity, but in other areas, because I think that's important. And to the leaders, then I say, make sure that you have the right policies and consider the women and challenge, you know, yourself. Do I really not have female leaders? They're there. You just have to look for them. Because, and it's the same thing that's going on in the United States. People are there. You just have to find them. And my final comment is for the women, whether they're board directors or leaders, is that women are critical for Japan's future. You know, with the facing of the the increasing age. I'm more familiar with these words in Japanese. Increasing age and the fewer people in the workforce. I mean, women are absolutely critical, and Japan needs your leadership. So that would be my message to any women who might be listening about why they should stay in the workforce, why they should seek a board position, and why they should want to promote change.